Hello, everybody. This is me, Michelle Lynn Tackett.
And this is Shawn.
Welcome to TNT Big Show, and please do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Please hit the notification bell so you can be updated when we release new videos. You can share this with your friends. Maybe they might like our content. Also, leave a thumbs up, and I cannot stress this enough, leave a comment. That will help the algorithm with us. Also, you can join our Patreon where we put up Jack's Joke of the Week yesterday. We have all other exclusive content for as low as $1 a month. If you want to make a one-time donation, you can just go to our PayPal and donate there. Or you can join one of our social medias like Instagram, WordPress, TikTok, Reddit, Discord. Well, now that all those nice pleasantries are out of the way, have you noticed something, folks? This information is from bloodydisgusting.com. Horror movies are dominating the box office.
Yes.
Conjuring was #1 this weekend with around 24 million. #2 was A Quiet Place 2 with around 19 million. It opened at 40 million the week before.
Oh, man.
It's incredible considering when Shawn and I were growing up, horror movies were almost looked at as taboo.
Yeah.
Now they're just becoming as mainstream as comic book movies and thrillers and stuff. Annabelle made $20 million a couple years ago. The Nun opened to 53 million. Like I said, thank you, bloodydisgusting.com, for this information. Spiral is at 21 million in America overall, but it's actually doing well. This is a great time to be a horror fan. It really is. I know some people are going to say, well, they don't make money like the Marvel movies and stuff. They don't have to. Horror budgets are modest. Like A Quiet Place 2's budget was around 60 million, whereas the first one was like 30 million or something. And by Hollywood standards, that's modest. Original ideals are helping too. I know A Quiet Place 2 is a sequel, but the original Quiet Place was very original and very different. Spoiler alert for people who have not seen A Quiet Place, but there's hardly any talking in it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It used visual clues, facial expressions to bring in tension and everything. And I loved that. Things like The Conjuring had real characters that people could relate to. Hereditary. Toni Collette should have got the Oscar for that. That performance was just out of this world. Jennifer Kent is probably my favorite director since Jim Cameron. When you see something like The Nightingale,
The
Babadook, you're just like, wow, this woman is a quality filmmaker.
And the big thing is, these middle budget and small budget movies blow away storytelling, acting, and everything the big blockbusters of today.
Oh, absolutely.
They just do. More money doesn't mean a better movie.
No, it doesn't. If it came down to Quiet Place 2 or The Fast and the Furious 9, guess which one I'm going to choose every time? But I think quality matters. People are really enjoying these movies. They're like, wow, this scared me. I like this. This was fun. Or this was scary, or it was thought-provoking. I'm not the biggest fan of Jordan Peele's movies, but his movies are getting critical praise, and people are like, wow, they're tackling racial issues. So horror movies are being looked at now as serious art.
Serious art, finally.
To me, they always have been. You know, even if the movie had blood and guts, which I'm personally not a fan. However, I can recognize a quality movie even when there's a lot of blood in it, like The Exorcist, or heck, even The Evil Dead. I know people like Evil Dead's trashy. No, it's not. It was a guerrilla warfare, fly by the seat of your pants.
It's very stylistic. When you look at the filming, it's very stylistic.
Absolutely. It was a great movie. I'm going to review Stephen King's It. I got my opinions about that movie. But it was a huge success. Meaning that people are not ashamed to go see a horror movie anymore. They're not afraid to say, hey, I like this movie. That makes me happy. Even if I have my opinions about the movie, the fact is something like Get Out, which made about 180 million in the U.S., it's showing that people now are more open to the ideal of seeing a horror movie. No longer do people go, I like horror movies. There are conventions now. Websites like Bloody Disgusting and Fangoria, Dread Central. There are conventions like Horror Hound, all these other big horror conventions that bring horror fans together, and they bring people who go along with their friends. And I've talked to a lot of people who said that at first they were like, oh god, a bunch of weirdos and freaks and stuff. And then when you meet the people, people are like, wow, they're just like me. They're just regular people.
You even see families there, fathers, mothers, children.
Exactly. They got to talk to these people. It's a long ways from the 80s and 90s where people started demonizing horror movies. And I loved them. I did, but Siskel and Ebert were part of the problem too.
They were.
So many people tried to act like if you liked a horror movie, there was something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Which just wasn't the case.
Yeah.
I think Blu-rays and DVDs helped. When you saw the behind-the-scenes footage, you started seeing the actors who played the parts, and that there wasn't real blood, which it never was. You get to see that these were just people working on a movie that they were passionate about. Of course, there are bad horror movies. That goes with any genre. But there were also classics, and I'm glad that get a second life now. A lot of Jeffrey Combs movies are getting a second life. That man's a genius. He was like the new Vincent Price. Great actor. It's good to see quality content make money. A lot of horror movies took cue from the Asian horror.
Yes.
The suspense, atmosphere, the build-up and stuff. Don't get me wrong, like I said, a great horror movie can have blood and everything, but it doesn't have to be about the blood all the time.
Exactly.
You can have great scares that are built up in subtle, nuanced ways.
But I am so glad horror movies are now getting away from Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven's Scream. Wink, 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 wink. They're getting away from that, and I am so glad.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's okay to make a movie once in a while that winks at the audience, saying, we know these are the tropes, and we're going to make fun of them. But it got to the point after Scream where just about every movie was doing it, and I got so tired. If I saw Kevin Williams' name on a script, or that he was a writer or something, I would just throw my head back like, no, not again. I'm glad. Mockery
is just done.
Yeah, like the only way back in the 80s and 90s, except for a few exceptions, but like most horror movies, if you tried to play it straight, a lot of critics would actually bash you for it.
Bash it,
It was only if you made fun of it would they give you a good review, and now that's not the case. Like sometimes critics will get onto a movie if it comes off as too silly or too winky now, which makes me happy. I'm like, yes, horror movies, like any other movie, we all know that they're not real. But deep down, you want to believe it, and any situation can be believable with good writing, acting, directing, and things like that. But most importantly, good writing. You put the writing in, and it's structured right, and it's done right. Yes, it can be done. You gotta stop treating movies like they're documentaries. They're not.
They're not.
The whole ideal is to take you someplace that you've never been before.
Exactly.
You think that, as far as we know, a place like Pandora, it doesn't exist. James Cameron took us there, and that's okay. People jump onto horror movies as being like, oh my God, that's not real. That ideal couldn't work. I'm like, that's a bad criticism. Any ideal can work if it's done right. I'm glad that people are buying into these concepts because of great movies that have great directing, acting, writing. It makes me happy that no longer are we looking at horror movies as some taboo subject that you're not supposed to talk about. You know, and I also think we have TV shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, and Supernatural that helped. I know Joss Whedon is a jerk. He's a lowlife. That being said, though, his work on what he did with Buffy and Angel cannot be denied.
Yeah, that's true. And something else, I think, the indie scene in horror movies, IFC Midnight leading the way.
Absolutely.
There's such a great quality. And I think some of the big studios who help these medium companies, they're like, you know, our movies are looked at as jokes. They're considered trash. Why don't we start making like the low budget movies? Why don't we start adding personality, script, characters you can care about? It works.
They may not make as much money, but they give you credibility, and in the long run, you'll make money on home video sales, streaming, and stuff. Because horror movies are always now some of the most watched movies on Netflix and Amazon and Hulu. So you got to think about the long run sometimes, and not just the quick gratification of a big special effect blockbuster. Sometimes it's good to think about the long run. If you haven't seen any of these movies, I hope Shawn and I talking about them may give you an idea to watch them.
Well, there's another little hidden movie called Beneath that we're going to rate. Try to see these movies.
I understand there are genres that people don't like, but if you're on the fence, try one. Try a horror movie. You may like what you see. I'm Michelle Lynn Tackett.
And this is Shawn.
Have a good one.